While higher interest rates, slower growth, and softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they will also bring some pain to households and businesses.
And major news coming out today. Let's talk about how this is all going to be impacting stimulus, the economy, what the Federal Reserve just said, and what they're going to be doing, the impacts we're going to be feeling. And you guys, buckle your seatbelts, because turbulence looks like it's going to be on the way here very soon. I'm going to get you caught up on everything. This is your breaking news, stimulus check update and stimulus package update. Now, we just heard from Jerome Powell. I'm going to be sharing with you the video footage, and you're going to be seeing the stock market just plummeting as he's speaking. You're also going to, I feel like Jerome Powell is like an open book. You can pretty much watch him with the sound off, and you can tell he is delivering not so good news. Now, of course, the stock market reacts to everything, but the effects of this economically, we have not felt yet. This is what's going to be coming. So you guys prepare yourselves for higher interest rates. Potentially, we're hearing we could be entering into a recession. We're going to see. And now it's very difficult to judge what's going to be unfolding because it's a balancing act. The Federal Reserve, as you know, when the pandemic hit, it stopped everything. Now, in order to keep our economy going, they had to pump money into the system. Stimulus was coming out left and right. Now, there's the argument that we did too much stimulus. So now things are overheated. We're seeing inflation. The money circulating is going way too fast. They need to slow it down before prices get out of control and people can't handle it. Now, also, there's the argument that there's supply chain issues. There's the war. There's an assortment of different things. But regardless of what the source is, the Federal Reserve needs to slow it down. So they're cranking up those interest rates. We're hearing about quantitative tightening, bringing that money back in, slowing things down. But here's the thing. If they do it too aggressively, they could slow it down so much where it's like how we were back in the pandemic. The businesses, they stop getting business. They have to lay off workers. People start not being able to pay their bills and things start halting and it stops. And then they got to try to stimulate things again. So it's this back and forth. And so we're going to be seeing, but you guys, they just warned today. Take a look at the headlines. Watch Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell speak live at Jackson Hole. He just did. Jerome Powell warns that the war on inflation may be painful. Powell, fighting inflation will cause some pain and very likely soften the jobs market, as I just warned. So this might be coming here very soon. Powell warns of some pain ahead as the Fed fights to bring down inflation. Take a look at the first bullet point. Fed Chair Jerome Powell on Friday today pledged that the central bank will use our tools forcefully to attack inflation that is running near its highest levels in more than 40 years. So we've already seen some pretty forceful, aggressive moves by the Federal Reserve, cranking up things by 75 basis points multiple times this year. Could we see a 100 basis point increase? How much more is on the way? Now, just to give you an idea of where things stand, right now, we have not seen inflation this bad in over 40 years. Now, if you take a look at where interest rates were 40 years ago, back in the 80s, to bring things down, they were well into the double digits for hiking up interest rates. And you guys, we're not even close to that. So the pain he's talking about, man, we could be seeing that skyrocket. And like I said, that's going to be impacting business, impacting jobs, the circulation of money, real estate, stocks. There could be a lot of pain coming. And you guys, as I mentioned, if they do it too aggressively, too forcefully, if they sway one way or the other too hard, they're going to have to autocorrect again, which means, like we heard, if we hit a recession right now, it is very likely that there will need to be recession stimulus checks. But then again, they got to do it in a way that it's not going to overstimulate the economy. So right now, things are off balance. They're trying to get some sort of bearings. But you guys, we will see. And I just need to let you know here on the channel what is coming, because I want to make sure that the Ram fam is aware of everything taking place. Now, at the same time, as I've let you guys know, there is assistance available across the nation on different levels, states, cities, and counties. Last night, I was up past midnight again, adding all of those stimulus check provisions to the website. They're all in there. Now I'm just going through the website, getting everything ready. I'm hoping to have it ready for launch next week. My family and I are leaving out of town for the weekend. It's our 16-year wedding anniversary, so just going to spend some time with the family. But when we get back, I'm going to launch that so that way you know what's available, because there are literally billions and billions of dollars just sitting there in many cases on a federal level, $800 billion. In California alone, $300 billion. There's so much money in California, they could almost send the entire nation stimulus checks with their state surplus alone. Texas, $27 billion. We heard about Alabama just announced they've got almost $10 billion. Florida has excess. They're sending out child tax credits. And you guys, I have so many city stimulus checks in here, and I'm just trying to make sure that you guys can get everything that is available across the nation so you don't miss out on anything. So keep an eye out for that, you guys. I'm going to keep you up to date. There's a lot unfolding, and all of this is taking place right before midterm elections, and we heard from Bernie Sanders and those that are in control in Congress. Take a look, you guys. They're going to start sending out more. They're saying all the promises of the past, they're going to bring them back. We had heard about child tax credits, stimulus checks, Social Security increases, free childcare, free college tuition, wiping out the student loan debt would be the first executive action to come, and we just saw it, and we're seeing it's going to be challenged. So you guys, there is a lot hanging in the balance right now, and it's of no surprise. As we mentioned, all of this was going to be ramping up right now before the midterm elections. And you guys, we will see. I will keep you up to date. Things are going to get pretty intense here with our economy. That's what we're hearing. I'll keep you up to date. But let's take a look at the video footage so you can see it for yourself from Jerome Powell. And let me know your thoughts on his body language. I feel like he's an open book. You can tell just by looking at him with the sound off. He is delivering not so good news. And also, you can see the stock market as he's speaking just going down because this is, we're entering in some turbulent economic environments here with this news coming out, you guys. But like I said, I'll keep you up to date. So let's go ahead and take a look so you are aware of everything. And if you guys appreciate the updates, regardless of what it is, if you appreciate being in the know of what's taking place, do me a favor, smash the like button. Helps out the channel a ton. Thank you guys so much. Leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, it's totally free. All you got to do is very quickly hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Any specific questions for me, it's going to get you some more economic updates on that channel as well to help you learn about growing wealth and personal finance. And with that being said, though, you guys, let's take a look at what Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell had to say today on the United States economy and the pain that is coming our way. Let's go ahead and take a look.
I have discussed broad topics such as the ever-changing structure of the economy and the challenges of conducting monetary policy under high uncertainty. Today, my remarks will be shorter, my focus narrower, and my message more direct. The Federal Open Market Committee's overarching focus right now is to bring inflation back down to our 2% goal. Price stability is the responsibility of the Federal Reserve and serves as the bedrock of our economy. Without price stability, the economy does not work for anyone. In particular, without price stability, we will not achieve a sustained period of strong labor market conditions that benefit all. The burdens of high inflation fall heaviest on those who are least able to bear them. Restoring price stability will take some time and requires using our tools forcefully to bring demand and supply into better balance. Reducing inflation is likely to require a sustained period of below-trend growth. Moreover, there will very likely be some softening of labor market conditions. While higher interest rates, slower growth, and softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they will also bring some pain to households and businesses. These are the unfortunate costs of reducing inflation. But a failure to restore price stability would mean far greater pain. The U.S. economy is clearly slowing from the historically high growth rates of 2021, which reflected the reopening of the economy following the pandemic recession. While the latest economic data have been mixed, in my view, our economy continues to show strong underlying momentum. The labor market is particularly strong, but it is clearly out of balance, with demand for workers substantially exceeding the supply of available workers. Inflation is running well above 2%, and high inflation has continued to spread through the economy. While the lower inflation readings for July are certainly welcome, a single month's improvement falls far short of what the committee will need to see before we are confident that inflation is moving down. So, we are moving our policy stance purposefully to a level that will be sufficiently restrictive to return inflation to 2%. At our most recent meeting in July, the FOMC raised the target range for the federal funds rate to 2.25% to 2.5%, which is in the Summary of Economic Projections range of estimates of where the federal funds rate is projected to settle in the longer run. In current circumstances, with inflation running far above 2% and the labor market extremely tight, estimates of longer run neutral are not a place to pause or stop. July's increase in the target range was the second 75 basis point increase in as many meetings, and I said then that another unusually large increase could be appropriate at our next meeting. We are now about halfway through the intermeeting period. Our decision at the September meeting will depend on the totality of the incoming data and the evolving outlook. At some point, as the stance of monetary policy tightens further, it likely will become appropriate to slow the pace of increases. Restoring price stability will likely require maintaining a restrictive policy stance for some time. The historical record cautions strongly against prematurely loosening policy. Committee participants' most recent individual projections from the June SEP showed the median federal funds rate running slightly below 4% through the end of 2023. Participants will update their projections at the September meeting. Our monetary policy deliberations and decisions build on what we've learned about inflation dynamics, both from the high and volatile inflation of the 1970s and 1980s, and from the low and stable inflation of the last quarter century. And in particular, we're drawing on three important lessons that I'll highlight. The first lesson is that central banks can and should take responsibility for delivering low and stable inflation. It may seem strange now that central bankers and others once needed convincing on these two fronts. But, as former Chairman Ben Bernanke has shown, both propositions were widely questioned during the Great Inflation period. Today, we regard these questions as settled. Our responsibility to deliver price stability is unconditional. It is true that the current high inflation is a global phenomenon, and that many economies around the world face inflation as high or higher than seen here in the United States. It's also true, in my view, that the current high inflation in the United States is the product of strong demand and constrained supply, and that the Fed's tools work principally on aggregate demand. None of this diminishes the Federal Reserve's responsibility to carry out our assigned task of achieving price stability. There is clearly a job to do in moderating demand to better align with supply. We are committed to doing that job. The second lesson is that the public's expectations about future inflation can play an important role in setting the path of inflation over time. Today, by many measures, longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored. That is broadly true of surveys of households, businesses and forecasters, and of market-based measures as well. But that is not grounds for complacency, with inflation having run well above our goal for some time.
So there you have it, you guys. Now we're going to be seeing what unfolds. I will keep you up to date every step of the way. And like I said, if there's any additional assistance, people still need help. And if you missed my video from earlier today, we're hearing the executive actions to wipe out $10,000 of student loan debt per borrower, $20,000 for Pell Grants. It's looking like it's going to get challenged. And we're hearing there is a possibility it could get struck down and overruled. And if that's the case, that could be huge as we're approaching these midterm elections, and that could be really difficult for future stimulus. Now, we will see. I'll keep you up to date every step of the way, you guys. But that is the latest coming out, and as always, thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget to take a quick second, smash the like button. It helps out the channel a ton. Thank you so much. Leave your comments, share this out. If you want to stay up to date, it's free. Button, turn on the notification bell. Any specific questions to learn about growing wealth and personal finance, and if you haven't already, add your email at www.reliefroadmap.com to get the comprehensive stimulus checklist of every single one available across the nation so you don't miss out on anything. A lot of people think there's just the federal checks. That's not the case. There's literally over 100 that I have on my list. I want to make sure you know about everything so you don't miss out on anything. But with that being said, you guys, once again, thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless.